The movie opens with a chilling scenario. A virus, long dormant beneath the earth, has been unleashed by the melting glaciers, leading to a global pandemic. It's extremely lethal, with predictions stating that within 2 months of its emergence, 25% of the world's population could be decimated. 2 years into the outbreak, the situation has grown even more dire, with 75% of humanity wiped out. Governments worldwide have imposed lockdowns, and the streets are eerily silent, with no signs of life as we once knew it. In this desolate backdrop, scientists from every corner of the globe have been scrambling to find a cure to stop the virus's rampage. Among these scientists is Alex, a dedicated virologist who has been on the front line of this battle against time. Through her narration, Alex reveals, after 2 years of relentless research and numerous failures, I've finally developed a vaccine that holds the promise to halt this deadly virus. While it's too late for those we've lost, I hold on to the hope that this vaccine can safeguard the remnants of humanity and offer a chance to rebuild. After her significant breakthrough, Alex was in a rush to share the news of her newly developed vaccine, hopeful that it could allow people to safely breathe the open air again. In her urgency to disseminate this information worldwide, she encounters a cruel twist of fate, an accident that overturns her vehicle. Miraculously, Alex survives the crash, but her leg is trapped under the car, immovable, despite her attempts to free it. Her mobile phone, critical for calling help, is flung out of reach. With great difficulty, she manages to pull it closer using a stick. Once she has her phone, Alex tries to call the police, desperately needing rescue. However, the lockdown in effect due to the pandemic has severely limited emergency services, with many officers themselves fallen ill to the virus. Her situation becomes increasingly dire as she realizes that her phone, damaged from the accident, switches off unexpectedly. Left without a way to call for help and unable to free herself, Alex is stuck, isolated, and fighting against time to save both herself and the potential future of humanity. As Alex struggles with her trapped leg, she notices the injury is bleeding profusely. In a desperate attempt to stem the flow of blood, she uses a knife from the car to cut a piece of cloth and tries to fashion a makeshift tourniquet. This task, simple in description, proves incredibly challenging given her precarious situation. As she tightens the cloth around the wound, her leg shifts and becomes further entangled in the wreckage. This only worsens her predicament, making it seem nearly impossible for her to free her leg by herself. Due to Alex's car accident, a sensor placed in the forest gets damaged. This sensor was installed by a couple, Daniel and Julia, who live a short distance away from the forest. Daniel, who was once a paramedic, knows Alex very well, but he has no idea about her current situation. Her accident, combined with the fact that her phone is switched off, leaves him unaware of what has happened. However, the broken sensor worries Daniel greatly. He can't understand how it got damaged. Julia, too, grows concerned, sensing that something is wrong. Daniel decides to go and check the situation himself, but Julia stops him, saying, "It could just be a technical issue. Let's wait a little longer, and if it doesn't come back online, we'll figure out what to do later." Meanwhile, Alex, injured and stranded, begins to lose hope. She fears that she might not make it back alive, that this could be the end for her. As she lies there, she takes out the passports of her husband, Franco, and her daughter, Millie, staring at their photos. Tears stream down her face, but at the same time, a bittersweet feeling washes over her. Though she is heartbroken, she finds a strange sense of relief. Both her husband and daughter had already fallen victim to the deadly virus and were no longer suffering. But at this moment, she isn't worried about them because they have already passed away. In fact, a part of her even feels at peace, knowing that in death she might reunite with her husband and daughter. But friends, on the other hand, she is also deeply troubled. If she dies here, the cure she created will never reach the world. Without it, the remaining survivors will slowly perish as well. Lost in these thoughts, she eventually loses consciousness. As she slips into unconsciousness, she begins to hallucinate and finds herself dreaming of her sister Lori. In this vision, she speaks with her, but in reality, it is merely a reflection of her own subconscious. The questions she has been struggling with, the doubts she has been suppressing, are now being voiced by Lori in her illusion, forcing her to confront them. Once again, Lori speaks, "Tell me, when Frank and Millie were leaving for Africa, why didn't you go with them? Why did you choose to stay behind? If only you had gone, at least you would have been with them in their final moments. But you didn't, because you cared more about your work than your own family. And now, what was the point of creating this cure? It couldn't save your loved ones, and soon it won't reach the world either. You've lost everything, and now you're going to die just like this." Hearing this, Alex's anxiety intensifies. Lori's words strike deep. She wonders if she made the wrong choice. Maybe if I hadn't dedicated myself to making the cure, things would would have been different, she thinks. But before she can dwell on the regret, another vision appears before her. This time, it's her father. He smiles at her and says, "My child, do you remember how I used to take you into the forest when you were little? You always loved being in the wild, exploring every corner. You never wanted to leave. And now look at you. You're stuck in a situation where you need to escape the very wilderness you once loved. But think about it. Every time I took you into the forest, wasn't that a kind of training for this moment? All those experiences prepared you to survive, to fight, even when you're alone." Then he looks at her firmly and says, "Now the choice is yours. Will you surrender to these circumstances, or will you gather the strength to escape, save yourself, and bring hope to the world? It's all in your hands, Alex." Understanding the inner workings of Alex's mind reveals a fascinating interplay between negative and positive thoughts. These are personified by her sister Lori and her father, respectively. Lori, in her visions, brings forth all the negative thoughts, perhaps as a manifestation of Alex's anxieties and fears about her dire situation. On the other hand, her father appears in her thoughts as a source of encouragement and positivity, offering the much-needed motivation to keep fighting for survival. Trapped in a mangled car, every movement causing unbearable pain, Alex finds herself at a breaking point. Upon regaining consciousness, she notices the broken roof of another wrecked vehicle nearby, equipped with steel strips. With a determined effort, she manages to pull the roof closer using a hook. Alex cleverly removes the steel strips and wraps them around her leg, creating a makeshift splint. This stabilizes her injury, significantly reducing the pain with movement, preventing her from passing out again. As Alex struggles to manage her hunger and pain, she finds some chocolate packets nearby. She eats them to alleviate her hunger. While dealing with her ordeal, she experiences a hallucination where a girl appears before her. This girl resembles a superhero from a comic book Alex often read. In her confused state, Alex begins to believe that this superhero is actually real, thinking she's Millie, here to help her. Seeing the superhero figure from her hallucination, Alex feels a surge of joy and relief. She exclaims, "Millie, you came!" Millie responds, "Yes, Mom, I'm here to give you the strength you need to get out of here." However, overcome with emotion, Alex says, "No, my child, everything is finished. There's nothing left to be done. I can't save anyone. There's no one around to help me." Frustrated with herself, Alex grows increasingly agitated. Millie then advises her, "Mom, this anger is getting heavier on you. You need to control it. If you don't, you'll lose all your courage, and I don't think you're ready to get out of here yet. So I'm going to leave, and I'll come back when you've calmed down." Alex pleads, "Wait, don't go, my child. I still need to talk to you." But Millie disappears, leaving Alex alone once again. As Alex is on the verge of losing hope, her mind conjures up the image of a dog that seems to be someone's pet. This dog isn't really there. It's a figment of her imagination, a creation of her stressed and desperate mind. When she notices a locket around the dog's neck with the word God inscribed on it, it brings her a moment of comfort. This sign makes her feel as though she's not alone, that perhaps a higher power is looking out for her, trying to give her the strength to survive. Believing that even divine forces might want her to save others, she finds solace in talking to this imagined dog, easing her distress slightly in the harsh reality of her predicament. Meanwhile, Daniel is busy repairing his drone, hoping to discover why its sensors malfunctioned. However, fortune favors Alex for once as the drone fails to operate. This setback forces Daniel to decide to investigate the situation in person. If he indeed follows through, there's a chance he could stumble upon Alex, potentially saving her life. But for this to happen, Alex must hold on a little longer, waiting for the possibility of rescue. As Alex feels her resolve weakening, she turns to her diary, where she had recorded various moments from her life. Reading these entries momentarily distracts her from the dire circumstances. However, as she delves into her memories, she experiences another hallucination. This time, she sees her father. In this vision, her father reassures her that her decision not to leave with Frank and Millie was the right one. He praises her for choosing to prioritize saving the lives of others over her immediate safety, reminding her that she has almost succeeded and only one final step remains: to survive this ordeal. Her father's words in the hallucination reinforce the importance of her mission, reminding her of the sacrifices made by Frank and Millie, which should not be in vain. He emphasizes that many families are still out there, hoping to save their loved ones, just as she has been trying to save others. As Alex continues to lose blood, her physical strength wanes, but her father's words bolster her determination. Realizing that she might not survive much longer, she makes a crucial decision. With the last of her energy, she writes down the complete formula and method for the vaccine she developed on a note. She hopes that if someone finds her, even long after her potential death, this note could be used to save the remaining survivors. At that moment, Millie appears beside Alex and says, "You have to survive. You need to live live to see the sunrise of a new day, the world you work so hard to save. You can't leave without witnessing the result of your efforts. Alex, overwhelmed with emotions, replies, I'm lucky to have had you and your father by my side. I was given a responsibility, and I tried my best to fulfill it. But maybe fate had other plans for me. I don't have the strength to hold on any longer. Soon, my love, we will meet again in another world. With those final words, Alex loses consciousness. For a moment, it seems as though she has taken her last breath, leaving behind uncertainty. Has she truly succumbed to her fate, or is there still a chance for her survival? Meanwhile, Daniel and Julia quickly gather their equipment and set out toward the location where the sensor had failed. Upon reaching the site, they come across the wreckage of Alex's car, the aftermath of her devastating accident. Rushing to check on her, Julia is struck with horror. Alex's breathing has stopped. A wave of guilt washes over Julia as she realizes that if she had insisted Daniel check the area immediately after the sensor failure, Alex might still be alive. Desperate to save her, she begins performing CPR, but despite her efforts, there's no response. It seems like all hope is lost. At the same time, Alex, in her unconscious state, sees Millie in front of her once again. I wrote the note, Alex tells her. Look, Daniel is reading it now. He will understand how to make the cure. This will save people. But Millie shakes her head and says, Mom, you have to live too. Your time hasn't come yet. I'm proud to be your daughter, but the world still needs you. Please wake up. She embraces Alex tightly in an emotional moment that tugs at the heart. And just when it seems like all hope is lost, something finally shifts. Alex finally regains consciousness. As soon as she opens her eyes, Daniel and Julia reassure her, You're safe now. We're taking you to the hospital immediately. They carefully lift her and rush her to medical care. Against all odds, Alex survives the horrific accident, despite having no resources, no help, and being trapped for so long. Her sheer determination and resilience kept her alive. The scene then shifts to a time in the future. People are seen walking freely under the open sky, breathing fresh air once again. Alex's vaccine has worked. It successfully eradicated the virus, saving the remaining population. Watching this, Alex becomes overwhelmed with emotion, reflecting on the years of struggle, the sacrifices, and the relentless efforts she put in to reach this moment. Tears well up in her eyes as she witnesses the world healing, knowing that her perseverance has finally paid off. The sun rises on a new day, and with it, hope is restored. And with that, the movie comes to an end. If you connected with the story, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Take care, and thanks for watching.